to those that have just come in, and for those that have, like me, on their 7th or 8th cup of coffee for the morning, well done for hanging in. If, as normal, for those that have been in other sessions, if you can just introduce yourself in the chat, that helps Steve understand a bit more about who you are and where you come from. So yeah, if you can just introduce yourself with your name, your role, and your institution, that would be really, really helpful. Just in order to fill time, like all good, I don't know, C-list news readers, I will fill some time and just given an opportunity to say that there's some fantastic sessions this afternoon and tomorrow. I'd really highlight the session with Ben Page from Ipsos Mori, for anyone that's interested in things, but then anyone that's a trustee or moving into a trustee role or chief exec. So I'd really recommend the Anti-Racist Trustee Board session by Nick Smith and Kat Sullivan. But there are loads of great sessions, and thank you to everyone for participating. Great to see that we got Lucy from Greenwich.
Hi Ash, hi Ellie, how you doing? Hope you're all doing well today. Lucy, I used to do a lot of work for Greenwich Students' Union. I have a lot of love for you guys. You're lovely people. Obviously, other than your chief exec, who's awful, but other than that, they're all very, very lovely. Freya, I know that name. Hello, Freya. Hope you're well today. Esther as well. We've got the whole Greenwich community in today. Hi, Ash. Sam, Greenwich, right? You need to go back to work. Go back to work. There's too many of you in today. Hi, Kate from Christchurch, Head of Engagement. Hope you're well today. Kate Little. Oh, I see who this is. It's a who's who of B-list Students' Union people. Hello, Lisa Burton. Hello, Laura. Is it Laura? I hope I got that right, Addison. Laura Addison. And hello, Ross. Oh, well, there you go. Hi, Becky from CUSU. I hope you're really well. I know Rebecca Smith, but not that Rebecca Smith.
That's our Rebecca Smith.
Yes, that's good.
So just a reminder to everyone to participate throughout the sessions, obviously using, let us know how you think about things using the hashtag SU20Digital, and please be aware that all sessions are recorded. That is on the basis that there is so much great stuff, hopefully for you guys, that you'll want to refer back to it. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Dow's. It feels so weird calling you Steve. So
yeah, don't call me Steve. Goodness, it's you and my mum, and I don't particularly. I'm not really into that. That's okay. Thank you so much, Matt, for such a warm introduction. Hello, everybody. Big shout out to the person from New College, Durham, SU president, New College lad myself. Got my A-levels from New College because I wanted to do drama. So there you are. Right. Hello, everybody. If I haven't introduced you, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're going to get something from today. I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, just like me. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. Matt's going to try and moderate chat as much as possible. I will try and answer as many questions at the end as I can. Who am I? Hi, my name's Dowse, Stephen Dowson, if you want to be formal, don't. I run a small company called Stand and Be Counted. I've done training and consultancy in not just students' unions, but charities for the last 4 or 5 years, working on public speaking skills, democracy campaigns, leadership, stress management. Basically, if I think you can pay me for it, I'll try and do it. The classic self-employed mantra. I also work for the Sheffield Steelers Ice Hockey Club, so a lot of my stuff also works in live events. So I've got a bit of experience of kind of training people and leading people and talking to people in different situations. And so like, I'm really happy to be with you. The first thing I'm going to say is this is just my learnings. These are just my what I've seen, what I think. Please don't take them as gospel. And what I'm going to try and do is push you in the right direction. I understand that some things I'm going to suggest you can do might not be possible within your current setup. Again, we're all learning this, and we're all learning it at a very, very quick pace. And I think that's rather cool. When the pandemic kind of hit, for the first 5 weeks, I did nothing. I just went, I froze. Do you know what I mean? Like most people did, I think. I froze in my job and I was like, what am I going to do? And I was of the opinion I didn't think I could transfer what I did to the digital space. I thought it's going to be really difficult. I don't think it would work. But then for the last 7 weeks, I've been incredibly lucky that I've had lots of very good clients who've had some faith in me and wanted me to deliver virtual training. And they've said it's really good and that I should try and help other people learn how to do it. And so that's basically it. My accent's weird because I'm from the Northeast, because I'm, from a great part of the world, but my wife's an American, so my accent will sometimes float. So if you don't understand something I've said, chances are nobody else did either. So don't be aware. Don't be afraid to ask any questions. Right. I think we should get cracking. So how do you move face-to-face training online? I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. That you're all trying to train reps for the most part, trying to train volunteers. I'm going to steer away from trying to train staff remotely, mainly because I think, looking at who said hello and all the rest of it, that's what we're trying to do. So we are trying to educate our students. The first thing I want to look at then is, why do we do face-to-face training in the first place? Like, why is it important? And of course, I would say that as a face-to-face trainer, but why do we still want to try and replicate it? And I think there's 4 real reasons. It feels personal, it's interactive, you get to meet other people, but most importantly for us as staff members, we know they've done it. We can count their heads, we can count the names, we can say, yes, institution, we trained X amount of people. Yes, we knew they were there. What I'm going to try and show you is how I've tried to replicate that in the training I've done. The other caveat to all this, and something I think that you need to be slightly aware of, is we are in competition, not with each other, but we're actually in competition for the first time with our partner institutions, or universities, if you want to say it properly. Basically, normally when we do training, we do it in our own students' union space, which for various students' unions is rather nice, or we do it in a university space. We do it in their buildings, we do it in their rooms, which are quite nice. And they have nice tech, which we then use and we haven't had to pay for. And we can make it look as good as the university. The university is going to have significantly more investment than us, we hope, on delivering e-learning. Therefore, our stuff has to look as good. It has to look good. It has to look professional. And I'm going to try and hopefully show you how I try and achieve that too. I don't think it's going to cut it if we're doing close webcams to faces like that, where you can see people's noses and they're wearing the pods and all the rest of it. I think that's going to look really bad in comparison to our partner institutions. So that's the other thing I think is to kind of look at. And the last thing is to kind of accept the limitations of doing this online. What you're going to have to do is focus on your priorities for your training, because some of the things I'm going to show you are great if you want to train loads of people, but rubbish if you want to know how many people you've trained or how many heads you've counted. There are going to be some things I'm going to show you which is great. We know exactly how many people have done, but we can only do it for 12 or 15 people at a time. So you need to be really clear internally. What is the priority? Is it just to teach as many as we can? Is it to count those heads? None of this is a bad reason to do anything, by the way. I just want to make sure that you know that there are limitations to doing this. There's a lot of positives to doing this as well. I really want to show you what I've learned in terms of being able to take this to another level in terms of accessibility. And I want you really to bear accessibility in mind when we go through the entire the training today, on the basis not everybody has a webcam. Not everybody has nice high-end laptop equipment. And from your students' point of view, there is, I think, for the first time going to be a real serious disparity between rich and poor in terms of tech. So how do you make your stuff as accessible as possible for various access points, those with webcams and microphones to those without? And how do we kind of fill that gap? Right, let's get cracking. First things first, the first thing you can do is you can make it shorter and you can make it often. One of my key learnings from doing training online is I have kind of cut all of my courses by about a quarter in terms of length. This is because learning digitally is exhausting. It is exhausting for you, the host, the trainer, and it is exhausting for the viewer for two reasons. We're looking at a screen and it's just really, really bad. And it drains our eyes and it tires us very, very quickly. The second thing is when you're on a Zoom piece of training and everybody's got their camera on, you're very aware when you're not looking at the camera. You're very aware that people are kind of like, oh God, I need to show you I'm 100% focused at all times. I'm literally on camera. That means my biggest kind of takeaway so far has been, how can we make what we do micro learning? And how, if I'm doing a 2 or 3 hour session, how can I do it 3 1 hour sessions? My rule of thumb has been for every 45 minutes on, we take 15 minutes off. And again, it's understanding that that is both for you as the trainer, but actually the people accessing this training. It is really, really exhausting. The flip side of that, because if you can get it shorter, it means you can do the same session 7 or 8 times on different days at different times, which means far more of your students can get access to you. We do not need to wait for a room booking to become available. We do not need to do it in one place. We can do it repeatedly to a high quality for a short amount of time, as many times as we feel like we need to. I think that gives us a huge, huge advantage in being able to skill up our students and make them ready for what's going on next. So that's the first thing. Shorten it and do it as much more often than we've been doing it in the past. 5, how can you gamify the experience? One of the things I've really enjoyed is the ability to use online games as part of my training packages. So I'm going to show you one that I've been using quite a lot of. Not that one, it is that one. So this is a game called Guespionage. Is part of a collection of online games called the Jackbox Collection. This is from Jackbox Free. Some of you might already know it if you've been to a certain type of party. Jackbox make loads of games that are available that you play on your mobile. But they also allow up to 100 people to play in the audience. So if we take this as an example, if we take Guespionage as an example, this is a simple game where you get asked a question and then you've got to guess what percentage of people do the thing they've asked you. What percentage of people use their partner's toothbrush, for example. There'll be 8 main players who will make the guesses that everybody sees, but the audience can also take part and make their guesses. And it's incredibly interactive. And it's a great learning tool to kind of tell people, you know, what we think about people isn't necessarily what they're like, you know. The way the participants use it is they go to jackbox.tv, put in that room code, and then they'll appear up there and you can run the game from here. It's one of a dozen of different types of games that I've used as icebreakers, that I've used as learning tools, that can be done really, really well remotely, and I fully recommend it. Hello, SM, who's joined. Thank you for that. I don't know who that is, but I knew somebody was going to do it, and they're going to start the game, so I'm going to stop the game. But I appreciate that quite a lot. There's other ways of simplifying games as well. So you can use certain pieces of software to just launch your own game within it. So using chat, for example, to launch games to keep a bit of interactivity up. And I'd like to do this now in chat. Folks, tell me which part of the UK is best. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. 1 for Scotland, 2 for Wales, 3 for Northern Ireland, 4 for the South, 5 for the North. So lots of people. This is the most I've ever seen. Look at chat go crazy. 6 London. Sam, get out of here. But where's the Midlands? There is no Midlands. The Midlands. Come on. Anyway, I'll tell you the answer. The answer is, of course, the North, obviously, because that's where the best people are from. Coventry. Look at that. All these other people coming in now. But you can do simple things like that, which, as hopefully you saw, can add a little bit of interactivity in a way that people don't really need to have access to webcams, have access to any kind of tech. They just need to put a number in. And of course, Zoom has polling, but again, if you're not using Zoom, if you're using something like Teams, that can be really, really super effective. So gamify your experience as much as possible. I am just saying that because I'm a nerd, but I also think it's really, really helpful, especially dealing with young people who are kind of used to that way of accessing their education. Chat is king. What I have super surprised me is how much, when I've been doing training, the people I'm training have used chat to talk amongst themselves about concepts and ideas. And they've not necessarily wanted my input in it. They've just wanted to explore the topic themselves. Or for students who are a little bit anxious and don't want to ask a question out loud, private messages have proved such a unique and brilliant tool for me as a trainer. Embrace the chat function on whatever software you're using. Get people using it. If you can, and this is very difficult, but if you can, get somebody to moderate your chat when you're doing training. Try and do your best to get somebody in to help you, because that level of interactivity, I think, especially if you're going to be presenting to large groups of reps or volunteers at the same time, having somebody just keeping an eye on this and making sure that you're seeing the key questions, I think is such a huge and powerful aspect of being able to train online. It means that the extrovert isn't king anymore. It means that introverts can really, 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 really take an opportunity to take part. So embrace chat, be very active on whatever chat program you're using, and make sure that students understand through games and things like that that they can use it. I can't believe London got so many votes, because that's where all the money goes, I guess. So that's my next kind of key learning for me, is understand that chat is king and that you should embrace it as much as possible. Number 4 for me is investing in some tech. We are in weird financial scrapes, everybody in different ways. So again, feel free to take what I'm saying, fold it up into a very neat ball and toss it over your shoulder and say, we can't do that. But for a little bit of investment, you can make your stuff look 100 times better. Buy a decent webcam, buy a decent microphone. I've given you some examples here, and I'm not sponsored to show any of these examples, but the webcam, the Logitech C920 is the one I'm using right now. It's really, 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 really good, powerful webcam. The microphone I'm using is the Blue Yeti, but the Blue Snowball, which is only £60, is just as good. These are really, really, really good investments in terms of kind of making high quality stuff that, again, will make your students see it as professional, will see it as something that they kind of want to interactive, and doesn't have that kind of slapdash feel, which we can get. And the other big thing I would really seriously try and see if you can invest in, and you don't have to spend a lot of money for this, is investing in a wired connection for your PC or laptop. Now, if you're doing this in the office, not a big deal. You're probably using a wired connection. If you're doing this from home, get off your Wi-Fi as soon as you can. It's just, for most people, it's just not stable enough. And the thing I'm showing you, and again, not brought to you by Amazon, other terrible exploiters of human capital are available. But this is a way of wiring a connection using your power supply. So you can plug one of these next to your router, plug in the internet into it, and then move that plug to another part of the room, plug it in, and you get a wired connection. And it's one of the best things I have bought since lockdown. It has meant that I've always had a stable connection. It means I haven't had awkward dropouts. It means I've been able to deliver things at a high quality, and I haven't had to worry about dodgy Wi-Fi. And if that was the biggest thing I've seen people struggle with, is local Wi-Fi. Get off it if you can. Try and get away from it if you can. And I think for the price that is on there, it's an absolute bargain for what you're able to then do, because you're able just to solidify your connection and make sure it all works. Powerline network adapters is the technical term. And they are, like I said, they're quite cheap at the moment, so it means you can do that, and they're very clever. The way they work is all very, very clever. Right. So that's some stuff I've asked you to buy. There is some stuff that is absolutely for free. I think you should look at getting good at. So there's lots of awesome free software that you can use to make your training really pop and really look professional. You may notice I am doing a lot of this at the moment. I've got buttons coming out the wazoo, and that's because I am using a broadcasting piece of software. Rather than just using the output from my webcam, I'm using a broadcasting piece of software called OBS. Now, all of this can sound very, very scary and quite intimidating, but honestly, if you give yourself a little bit of time, OBS is a very, very, very excellent video production tool that can really, really make your presentations pop. It can really make your training far more interactive. And I just want to show you actually how I'm using it through good old share screen. So here's basically what it looks like from my point of view. Hello. I'm now in several places at once, which is quite unusual. But all I've done here is you can pop images onto a video, so you can, have your little logo and look professional. But all of these down here are all just scenes, and they just move the camera to different things that I've been doing while I've been talking to you lovely people. They do not take long to make. You basically click plus, drag and drop the images and videos you want to use, and then it's locked in as a scene. Then using some hotkeys, I have basically attached these scenes to different numbers on my keyboard. So you might notice that this says shorten it is number 8. I click number 8, and then it appears, and I click 0, and it comes back to me. It just adds, again, that little bit of polish, that little bit of moving away from talking at a PowerPoint, which there is no problem with. It creates something that I think is, again, a bit professional. From your point of view, from a user point of view, it's a skill to learn. And if we're learning some skills, video editing and online live production isn't the worst thing to learn. And the key thing about OBS is, as well, is you can record locally on it in high definition. So if the idea is to kind of have something online, then upload it later, rather than taking the stream from wherever you've got it, from Zoom or from YouTube, this is so much better for just having that high quality local recording that then you can edit and upload later on your Students' Union's lovely thing. I have a chat. How much is OBS? It is the cheap price of 0, Ross, which is why I use it. Yeah, OBS is completely free. It's the best. So yes, I showed you some things that you need to pay for. I'm going to show you OBS is free. And all I do with OBS, free. I'll take you back quickly. So once I've done all this, and so how difficult is it to do? Once you've set up your scene and all the rest of it, you just go to Tools, click on Virtual Cam, and then there'll be an option in Zoom to say which camera do you want to use, your webcam or OBS Virtual Cam. You click that, and whatever's coming out through here comes out through here, and all this loveliness. And it's really, really, like I say, you can imagine I probably did a really, really good pub quiz during lockdown. And that's what all I found during lockdown was reasons to play with stuff, to see what I can learn. And I think OBS is a really, really good example of that. It's used by Twitch streamers and YouTubers. So if they can do it, lads, you can figure it out. And part of using that free software then is thinking about where are you hosting your training and your presentation. You can use Zoom, and you should pay maybe for the subscription and use the breakout rooms. I think for small training, I think Zoom is outstanding. I think for large training, I think it kind of sucks. And I think that for many, many reasons. The webinar feature is absolutely fine, but there can be barriers to access from using things like Zoom. It's difficult to record. You can put it on YouTube, absolutely. But there are other platforms which your students might feel more at home in, and consider using them. So using private YouTube streams isn't the worst idea in the world, but also looking at Twitch as a way of kind of showing what you're doing isn't the worst idea. I have used Twitch in the past, and I think if you want to talk to literally hundreds and hundreds of people and guarantee a good connection, and you don't particularly care about counting heads, I think Twitch is the best in terms of the quality of output you can put on. If you want to count heads, don't know if it's the best for that, but also go on Twitch. Go on Twitch, go on YouTube, watch some people, interact with the audience. It's stunning the way that people are doing it, but this is how your young students are interacting with each other. Go watch them. Go watch how they interact with chat. I really can't stress it enough. Yes, it's all very scary, all very flashy and all the rest of it, but find a video game you like, find something you're into, find it on Twitch, and just watch some people and how they interact with other people. And I really, really, really strongly recommend that, because you learn so much in doing that. How can we then measure participation? There are many ways of doing it. Obviously, if we're using Teams or Zooms, it's quite easy. But if we're trying to talk to hundreds of people, how can we measure participation? Well, for one thing I've done recently, I was training up to 150 students, and we were using Zoom and a mixture of Zoom and Microsoft Teams, which, by the way, Microsoft Teams can get into the bin, but that's fine. So what we did is, at the end of the training, one of the slides had a unique code, a 4-digit unique code. We created a Google form that the participants then clicked on. So we put it in chat. Here's a link to the Google form. You put in your name and the unique code and your email address and whatever course you were doing. And that was you saying, I've taken part in that training. And you only would have been able to put that in if you've been at the session to get the link, but also with the unique code. To make sure that the unique code just wasn't shared with people, we changed it for every session. So we ran 4 sessions, and we had 4 unique codes for every one, and it meant we could also see who was coming to which session. And of course, from the trainees' point of view, they wanted to say they'd been there, so we'd stop bugging them to go. Do you see what I mean? So, and it took them 2 minutes, and we were then able to say, yeah, that person has done that course. That person has done that course. So even using the bigger stuff, there are little things you can do to measure your participation, measure who's using it. If you're not using Zoom, if you want to move from outside of Zoom as well. Coming into my last couple of points here, and this is, I think, a big one. Should it be you doing the training? Now, I'm saying this with love and tenderness and kindness. And I'm not saying this just to shill me as a product. I'm actually not saying use anybody else. Training is a dark art. Training online is a darker art that I'm discovering, because you just have no feedback at all. You don't get people, I don't like Microsoft Teams. I will come to that. You do not have that ability to kind of get that interaction. You get that feedback. It is a performance. When there's a camera, it's a performance. If that's not you, that's not a problem. But there are going to be students and volunteers who that is. This is a fantastic opportunity to upskill some of your volunteers and your students, or members of staff who have a bit more confidence than you. I don't think it's a criticism of everybody. This is a different way of training, full stop, compared to how I've done it in the past. And understanding that it isn't just standing up in front of a class and giving out pieces of paper, understanding that it is a bit of performance, it is of understanding that there's a lot of dead space over there, means it might not be your forte. Ask yourself, do you have to deliver it? Or do you have to set it up and moderate it while somebody who feels more comfortable in front of a camera and a microphone literally delivers it? Because for the most part, I'm going to assume, again, making massive assumptions, so please forgive me, that what we're teaching is something that can also be taught to someone to teach. You can train a trainer on this. And I think, again, it's one of those things that we could really make our union stand out compared to our comrades in the university. The university are going to have such variant levels of competency in terms of online learning. You're going to have very old professors who don't like this at all, who are going to be rubbish. if we can be a bit dynamic, if we can show some of our values in our training, I think it would really, really help with A, participation, but B, making more people wanting to take part in training. This might be one of the only times your students really see you and interact with you. So for me, have that honest conversation with yourself and say, is there somebody within the organization who I can skill up? Is there somebody in the organization who I can help, who wants to help, who might be in a position where they, looking for stuff to do within the organization? I think there's a lot of stuff that you could do here to give people that platform to present, because that's what it is. And it's just, like I say, it's a very wide brush. And the other reason I want to say, should it be me training? And I say this very aware of my privilege and background, is does our staff reflect our membership? And if not, is there a way we can do that in our training? Because normally we would have students coming in and using our services and seeing the diversity of staff, but online, they may only meet 3 or 4 of us. And there's a real opportunity to create opportunities. There's an opportunity to create opportunities from staff from different backgrounds and getting them involved as much as possible. And again, giving them opportunities to learn and develop and grow. And I think, again, with the lack of those opportunities due to the global pandemic and then the jobs crisis, I think giving our students as much opportunity to do that as we can, I think is super important. And yeah, it's something I would strongly suggest doing if you can. Obviously, there are lots of restrictions. There's lots of reasons why we can't just let people go rogue and do stuff. But I think from a genuine point of view, I think there's such a way of making your union look more legitimate. Or get the officers to do it. You know what I mean? Give them something to do. They've got now to do at the moment, have they? I mean, they're just spinning on their chairs. That kind of thing. Last couple of tips and tricks that I'm coming to, because I see Matt was coming in because he thought I was winding up, but I am winding up, Matt. Last couple of things just to kind of do. Accept your limitations, but also accept that doing this for 6 hours, staring at a camera, is weird. Stop doing it. People don't like it. It creates anxiety. So I always end up having my camera here while I talk to the audience over here. And the last thing probably to say is get some support. And I know it's a bit of a shill. I can help. Don't be afraid to email me. I like working for Students' Union's Your Old Class. I imagine, and I've whizzed through that because I imagine people have loads of questions they want to ask me, and I thought it'd be far better if I just use this as a kind of a cheap Q&A where you can just go, how would you do this? So in a nutshell, in a quick half-hour session, that's basically it, Matt.
Thank you ever so much, Dales. That was really, really interesting. As someone that has been on quite a significant digital journey in trying to deliver this event, it's surprising what people can achieve with a bit of time and effort, actually. And that's me saying that from myself. I've been quite surprised.
If anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask them on anything, even if something I haven't covered that you want to ask somebody who's a trainer that you think you'd like to get a question from, please ask them. Somebody asked, an anonymous attendee said, why don't you like Microsoft Teams? It can get in the bin. Teams is massively counterintuitive. You can't have breakout rooms. And from a training point of view, the ability to put people into smaller groups, to have conversations, and then quickly bring them back and then put them out again. I've worked with a client who were like, we are on Teams. And I've said, I'd love to work for you, but we have to figure this out. You know what I mean? We've had to kind of move away from that. Teams has its advantages. People have to use their emails. It's all very legit. You can keep a local eye on it. And your institution might insist on it. So I also fully understand if you can't move away from Teams. Fully understand it. I just think I can get the what software? What software for breakout rooms? Zoom is great. $11.99 a month, and I can press a button and create 60 breakout rooms, and people can just click and go. Blooming great. One of the best things I learned. So that's what I've been using. So yes. Do you deliver training to staff to improve their training skills? Bliss, this sounds like a pitch. Yes, I do. I do train the trainer courses. I do, like I say, I think what you got there was a kind of an overview of what I do. Basically, as a self-employed person, if I think I can do it, I'll always say yes. But yeah, I have done train the trainer. In fact, I did it at Greenwich not so long ago. Do you have any recommendations for ensuring that things go smoothly in breakout rooms if there aren't enough facilitators for each room? Oh, I wouldn't put facilitators in each room. Like, trust your young people, man. Trust your students and and give them that opportunity to meet each other. That's the thing they're missing at the moment. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing they're really, really missing, is that opportunity to hang out. Like, when I've been doing SAB training, I have purposely put people into breakout rooms to do a 5-minute topic and left them for 20 minutes. And with Zoom, you can just hop in and out. As the trainer, you can go, how's it going? We all good? Like you would do. And you'll find, oh God, we haven't even talked about the subject yet. Fine. Talk to each other, get to know each other. So that's Carlos's, and then I've got a load over here. So, any experience of using Blackboard Collaborate Ultra? No, unfortunately. As an external, I don't normally get to use the nice shiny things. Group activities in our training. Any tips of how to manage this and ideas? So, group activities. What you used to do face-to-face, you can definitely still do online. There is a great online game called Snake Oil, which I use all the time, which is a way of kind of getting people to think of ways of creating products for imaginary people. It's a cracking little game. Jackbox is great for some group activities. There are some lame ones if you're looking for icebreakers. You get people to change their virtual background into a picture that means a lot to them and say why it means a lot to them, that kind of thing. I think the great thing about these kind of online activities is nobody knows yet, so we're all just trying to figure it out. But there are a few things like that. Hopefully that kind of answers that question. Any software you can recommend to breakout rooms other than Zoom? I can't, because I've only really used Zoom. So soz. The other thing is, like, Discord might be an option if you want to try and create little rooms of people. I haven't had too much experience with it, but I know people who have. But Discord is mainly for gamers, but it can do audio and it can do chat as well. Has anyone raised any privacy concerns about any of the software things you've recommended, or any sort of training that you can / things? Yeah, absolutely. And it's something we've had to measure. So obviously all of my stuff is password protected in terms of the stuff I've had to use. I've had, like I say, sorry, somebody just mentioned something about flip charts and it completely distracted me. Yeah, I pay money for Zoom. I therefore expect some privacy issues along with Zoom, because all the rest of it, but it's how you manage that. And everything online that comes down a tube has privacy issues and privacy risks. Do just protect yourself as much as possible and use passwords where available. It was raised by a client. We had a good chat about it. We used Teams for a couple of sessions, and then the chief exec went, yeah, this does suck, doesn't it? And so we figured it out, and we had a conversation to move it over to a more training-friendly piece of software. Have you got any recommendations of tools where you can tick boxes for individuals to answer questions afterwards so you can see they have taken in the information? Ideally, would love to have this to follow up an online session. Google Forms, Google Sheets is your absolute king here. You can create forms, they can answer questions. Also, in the paid version of Zoom for $11.99 a month, you can create polls on the fly and have them be done there and then. And I've done that quite a lot, and it's really, really useful. But yeah, use Google Forms. So that's that one. What about Facebook's new group rooms facility? I don't touch Facebook with a barge pole when it comes to training, because it means that that person has to have Facebook, and lots of people are moving away from Facebook, so I haven't really used it. Kate Little is a massive nerd and asks any software that can sub for flip charts and post-its and the like. Obviously, Zoom has a share screen function, which has a whiteboard, but there is a piece of software which I will load up, which I was using, which is this program called Whiteboard www.explaineverything.com. I will boot it up. So here it is, and it looks like this, and you can create a shared whiteboard and you can use it. And if you have a tablet, you can draw on it, and it's really good. And when I was trying to be proper showing off, I'd have my tablet in one hand and drawing in the other. But again, it's most of the software we're using now, like Zoom and Teams, have whiteboard and Notepad. But yeah, whiteboard.explaineverything.com is really, really good and free, which is what we're looking for in it, guys. I've been looking at using Mentimeter to do live quizzes. Yeah, I love Mentimeter. Love a bit of Mentimeter. Nothing wrong with that at all. Again, the great thing about OBS, I'll just show you this very quickly. And I know I am going really, really quickly because I want to make sure I can answer everybody's questions. The great thing about OBS, let me just show you this. OBS has a feature where you can just capture your browser. So you can create a new scene. Let's just say this is called a browser scene. I'm already using that. So we'll call it a Bowser scene. There you go. And what you can do is you can say, capture whatever is in this browser. So you link it to the Mentimeter or whatever you're doing. So we could do bbc.co.uk, and this will update live. And that's just as simple as that. And there you go. You create the scene. But this, if you're doing like something live on a web channel, that will update live in front of everybody as well. So that can be quite interactive and quite helpful to use. Questions. Do students add you on Facebook, LinkedIn? I got lots of friends that request questions at training sessions. Am I right to reject them? I reject everything on Facebook because I try and keep Facebook separate. I will often say no to LinkedIn if they are still studying. I will say yes if they've come out of that space, just to try and help them. Like often I'll get people asking for like employment kind of advice and things like that. I'll get that person out there. So I've always said yes. I'm just going to look at the chat and see if I've missed anything. Kahoot is great. Kahoot is great. And a group icebreaker activity that we've used in training recently is a bit like Never Have I Ever, called Show Up. Yes, ask attendees to turn off cameras and mics and then turn on their camera if the statement was asked was true. Start as an icebreaker, turn into an activity, highlighting areas of the training topic. I've heard of that. And yeah, I have heard that's quite good. Like I say, I have been using things like Jackbox a lot more because you just need your mobile phone. And it's quite fun and interactive, and because it's hosted like as well, it has like a person live actually doing it. It means you can just step away from it and let it run itself, and again give you that space. What's the best way of training people in things that really need hands-on experience? I'm thinking here of student journals learning how to use InDesign. Share screen. And that's the best example I can give you, is literally using the square screen function of Zoom and literally guiding people around it. It is one of the massive limitations. What if they're using a phone to access training as don't have a laptop? Would they then struggle to use Mentimeter and other interactive features? Yes, which is why for some training I've moved away from that. I'll go back actually just to, again, what I've done here with OBS, because I realize that for some people that actually they're using their phones. And so for some games, being able to click or do something. So if you look at the game I've got down here, this is just a slideshow, and I move left and right. And that person then doesn't have to download any other software. They just need to say something in chat, which they should be able to do if they are using their phone. And again, it's just a really cheap way of just doing these games yourself. But yeah, that's just a slideshow down at the bottom. It took me ages, obviously, to find all these fantastic images of the best part of the world. Oh, yes. Any more questions? I was worried we wouldn't fill the time, but you guys have had some amazing questions. I would, getting away from Alan Shearer, the last thing I'll probably finish off with saying is give yourself a cheap excuse to practice. Where's my favorite place to go in the north? Durham. Me and Dominic Cummins have a lot in common. It's because it's where I'm from. When this all started, I realized we were going to have to do a lot of stuff online and digitally. And one of the things I did was I set up a Dungeons and Dragons group. I haven't played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm the kind of person who could, because look at me. Right. So I started up a Dungeons and Dragons group, and the reason I did it was to give people a place to go during lockdown, but also because I wanted to learn how to teach people complicated subjects online, which is difficult. So I set up this Dungeons and Dragons group. Everybody who was part of it were kind of newbies, and it gave me so much time to practice and fail at this game. And people say, and often when I'm doing my training, I say, oh, by the way, I'm using 2 monitors, and I go by him or her, all the rest of it. You know, I do that, but then I realize, and I also say, by the way, I have 2 monitors, not because I'm a professional, because I have my map on one hand and I have the Dungeon Master chat in the other hand, you know, and it kind of loosens people up. But through playing that game, I learned so much about how people interact in learning concepts. And I just want to show you this because I'm here. The people who one of them's in chat, actually, one of them who took part, they got me this lovely mug. I'm going to show you this lovely mug they got me with all their character names on the bottom. So even as a DM, I'm all right. But it was amazing for me to learn how to teach again. And the other thing, probably just to remind yourself, is this is never going to replace face-to-face teaching. It's always, everything we do here is 80%. And that's fine. Everything we do is 80%. That's fine. How do you get over nerves? How to recover after making mistakes if your training session is being recorded as you deliver it? I do public speaking training. So if you want to know how to be a better public speaker, I can help you with that. The first thing I would say with nerves is do it a lot, do it often, and it becomes second nature. I mean, I was nervous as hell doing this today. Don't know if you could tell, but I've never done a talk like this. So, you know, if I was recording it and I made a mistake and a whoopsie, I would definitely make sure I recorded it locally and then I would edit it. That's the beauty of editing. You can put it into Movie Maker and whoopsie die-byes, it's gone. And you look amazing. Oh, that was an emotional roller coaster.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Steve. Sorry, Dow's. God, I'm getting caught up in my correct name for you. So
that's all right.
Apologies if I sound like your mother.
Not the first time you've been called that, Matt, if I'm pretty honest.
You know, even us C-class hosts make mistakes. Yeah, I do share the fragility of going live online, but I have to say that the more you do it, the more comfortable you become. And what's life without making mistakes? Mistakes
absolutely
really make us better, don't they? So
I think it makes the training far better. Obviously, I'm not getting feedback from today's session, but if you want to tag me, I think I'm going to put my Twitter account in here. You can also find me on LinkedIn because I would be genuinely curious to know how this went today, because I was like kind of looking for ways to put it together, and I was like, am I just teaching you guys how to suck eggs? So I would be really happy if you went on Twitter to say hi. And this isn't me selling because things are going really, really well. But if you do want to ask me more questions, you can email me. Most questions are free, and you get a free answer. Like genuinely, because I work in the third sector I nearly swore there. I work in the third sector for a reason. I like making students' unions better. I like making charities better. If I can make a few bob eventually, great. But until then, let's not worry about that. I'd rather you guys felt good and we made a better movement. I'm one of those types. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to stick around.
I think that's fantastic. One of the best sessions I've been involved in. So thanks.
That's a lovely thing to say. I really appreciate that.
Really, really enlightening. And I think in this moment, part of our thinking when we were coming up with this conference and what we would do in terms of putting it digitally, you know, we felt that at this time more than ever that there needed to be more collaboration across the sector. So
absolutely.
Thank you for playing a role in it, and I hope that everyone feels comfortable to share and learn from each other over the next
You are saying wonderful things in chat, which I will be screenshotting and reading to myself later. That's absolutely lovely, guys. I really, really appreciate that. Where will they be able to find the recording, Matt?
If you go to www.studentsunions, so both with S's at the end of it, .co.uk. And if you go onto the schedule, you can click for past events, and then you can look at all the sessions that have happened, and they will be available for at least the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks. And then they'll be available via our YouTube channel, which is which is listed as Student Unions in YouTube, and you'll be able to find it there forever. Until YouTube stops broadcasting. So
you guys are being far too nice in chat. That's wonderful feedback, guys, because I am so happy this has been some use to you guys. Probably the last thing to say is, like, the worst thing you can do is screw up. I work for an ice hockey club. I get a microphone put in front of me with 9,000 people listening to me. And one of the things I realized very early on is you're going to screw up. So it's all right. The worst thing that you can do is say sorry. Nobody dies, you know? And also the best thing about doing stuff like this is only you know the script. If you screw up, only you know that.
Yep. Totally agree. Thank you for Jerry's final thought. For those of you that are old enough to know of,
take care of yourself and each other.
So thanks all. Loads of great stuff happening across the rest of the day. Thanks ever so much, Dow's, for that session.
Very, very welcome.
Yeah, stay tuned and keep locked and loaded in what we've got available for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, everybody, for your lovely, lovely, lovely things that you're saying.
Take care, all. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wash each other's. Whatever's good.
Right. That is everyone out. Thanks ever so much, Dale,
Mate,
for that.
Absolute privilege. Good? Happy?
Really, really good. Like, really, particularly for Sab, actually for anyone, it's just really, really useful. So I think it's a really, really good session.
That was a lovely thing to say, by the way. I really appreciate you saying that.
No, it's good. And to be fair, I got no issue if consultants want to try and sell themselves as well.
Yeah, but it's just, it's a bit awkward at the moment. And
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. It's just hard when student unions don't have that much disposable cash, isn't it?
No, and it's why I work for other charities. Do you know what I mean? If I just focused on student unions, it wouldn't be great. In terms of the YouTube, the Yaochaub, am I allowed to use I mean, it's weird, like, who owns the footage, but like, obviously it's you guys who posted, but would you be okay with me putting that online?
Of course, yeah, not a problem at all.
I'll double check.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, by all means, use it and abuse it. We will probably end up doing a few more of these kind of, not as big as this one, but we probably will do one in October, one in January, and one in probably April, with a viewpoint to leading us towards the summer. But it'd be great to get you involved in all of them, really, if you can.
I'd really like that. I'd really, really like that.
I just think it's a good space to be able to sell yourself. And it gives something back, doesn't it? So
yeah, it does. It really, I mean, that's why I like doing it. Right, you've got another session, so I'm gonna let you go to it, Matt.
Take care, mate. Thanks ever so much.
No problem. You have a good day now.
Cheers, bye.